Howdy everyone, it's Doug the Dog Guy and my kitty Athena back here again on the Time to Pet channel, this time to talk to you about insurance for your pet sitting and dog walking business. Anything can happen at any time when we are working with animals, and that is why having insurance is one of the most important things for us as pet professionals. For those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Doug the Dog Guy, and I'm the owner and founder of Bad to the Bone Pet Care. We've been in business for over 10 years now. We've won multiple awards for our pet sitting and dog walking services over the years. My team services the majority of Northeast and Central Florida. And we have used Time to Pet to manage our entire business for over 5 years. We use Time to Pet for scheduling, invoicing, visit tracking. We use it for our clients' notes and instructions. We use it for instant messaging with our clients and our team. We use it for literally everything. And I can tell you that it is vital to my business. I mean, Time to Pet has been just a game changer overall. I can remember what it was like to operate before Time to Pet, and my business was a mess back then. So before we get into the insurance today, I do have a special link for you guys to save 50% off of your first 4 months of Time to Pet if you sign up at timetopet.com/Doug. Again, that's 50% off of your first 4 months if you go to timetopet.com/Doug. When new pet sitters and dog walkers ask me for advice, I always tell them that I would never even take on one walk without the proper insurance. Getting insurance is absolutely one of the very first things you should do as you are setting up your business before you take on any clients. And we briefly talked about insurance in the video that I put out about startup costs. And then we touched on it again really quickly in the video about contracts. So go watch both of those videos if you haven't already. We'll link those in the description below. And then in today's video, we're going to go a lot deeper. We're going to talk about why you need insurance and why it really is so important. We're going to talk about what to look for and pay attention to when you're thinking about insurance providers. And then we're going to talk about average cost of insurance as well. Time to Pet isn't just a software for your pet sitting and dog walking business, but they also have a ton of free resources on their website geared to help you succeed. And in today's video, we are actually going to be following along with their blog post on insurance. So head over to their blog and pull up that blog post and follow along while we go through today's video. Before we get into it, let me clarify that I, nor King, nor Time to Pet are insurance companies or providers, and we are not endorsing any one insurance company in this video. Let's first talk about why insurance is so important. Now, I already mentioned that anything can happen at any time when we are pet sitting and dog walking, but I just cannot stress this enough. I mean, we are strangers going into other strangers' homes to care for their pets. And it's kind of our job as pet sitters and dog walkers to personify the pets and really go all in on this fur baby type mindset. And that makes it really easy for us to sometimes forget that even the best trained dog is still an animal with a mind of its own. And when we are coming into their home as a stranger, when their parents aren't there, the potential for liabilities is just endless. So let's talk about some real life scenarios that I have actually dealt with as a pet sitter and dog walker. And I'll start with the very first time I ever had to use my insurance. I had been pet sitting for maybe about a year, and I was pet sitting for this Jack Russell, super cute Jack Russell, but full of energy, as they all are. And I was doing 3 drop in visits a day. And between my morning visit and my midday visit, the little Jack Russell decided that this client's brand new couch was going to be his new chew toy. So I walked in to a completely destroyed couch. I mean, he pulled every bit of stuffing and fluffy out of this couch and strewn it all over the house. It looked like it had snowed in the house. And if I had not had insurance, I would have had to have gone and bought them a new $1,000 couch or however much it ended up being. But luckily, I had insurance and they covered it. The next time I had to use my insurance was when one of my employees was playing fetch with a dog inside the client's house, and she threw the tennis ball a little too high and knocked a couple of the little crystals off of this fancy chandelier that was in their entryway. And each one of these crystals on the chandelier cost more than $100. And she knocked like 6 or 7 off, and they all, of course, busted as soon as they hit the floor. And the client was not very happy about this for obvious reasons, but they calmed down a lot as soon as we told them that our insurance would replace the crystals and the insurance would cover all of the expense. Knock on wood, I've never had to use our insurance for an actual pet related issue. Every time I've had to make an insurance claim, it was for a home related issue. But let's just say, for example's sake, that you're out walking a dog and the dog that you are walking decides to bite someone that is walking by you on the sidewalk. Or let's say that there is an aggressive off-leash dog that runs up and bites the dog that you are walking. Now, this is where insurance would come in. Insurance would cover those medical bills of the person that got bit and would cover the vet bills, should the dog that you are walking get bit. And this is so important because we all know how quickly medical bills can run up. I mean, if a dog was to bite someone while you're out on a walk and the bite go the wrong way, those medical bills could be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars like that. So make sure that you are protected. I recently heard a story of a pet sitter that had a cat run out of the door between their feet as they were walking into the house. And the cat literally ran straight into the road and got hit by a car, just like that, right in front of the pet sitter. It happened instantly. And the cat luckily was able to be rushed to the ER and survived, but only after over $10,000 worth of surgeries and recovery. And had the pet sitter not had insurance, that would have been on them, and they would have had to have come up with that money on their own. But luckily, the insurance covered all of that for them. I tell everyone that one of my main jobs as a pet sitter and dog walker is to think ahead and figure out what the absolute worst case scenario is, and then put things in place to help prevent those things from happening, while also putting things in place to make sure that I can succeed should those things eventually happen. And this is where insurance is just so important, because when crap hits the fan, you are not going to succeed if you don't have the proper insurance. And I can guarantee you that eventually, if you do this long enough, crap is going to hit the fan and you will have to deal with it one way or another. And I know what you're thinking. You're sitting there thinking, what are the odds that I would be out walking a dog and an off-leash dog would run up and attack us? Or What are the odds that a cat would actually run out the door and escape during my watch? I would never let that happen. That would never happen to me. You're wrong. You're wrong if you're thinking that. I can guarantee you that if you do this long enough, some of these types of things will happen to you. They happen to all of us. Even the best of the best pet sitters and dog walkers are going to have to deal with some of these scenarios eventually. So go ahead and set yourself up for success now. So, what should you be looking for when you're choosing an insurance provider? There's a lot of things to look for, but the first and most important thing to look for is that they are offering you a general liability policy that will cover things that happen either because of your services or during your services. The main thing that I look for when I'm looking at different general liability policies is the three C's. That is care, custody, and control, which means that that general liability policy will cover anything and everything that falls under your care, custody, and control, which is pet sitters and dog walkers is not only the pets, but remember the actual home and property as well. But you really can't stop there. You need to take it a step further and make sure that the provider that you are talking to has a good history of actually covering the claims that are submitted to them and not declining claims or even canceling policies. I have heard many horror stories in some of the pet sitter Facebook groups about pet sitters that signed up for a general liability policy with a provider that is not used to dealing with pet sitting and dog walking companies. And then when they go to make a claim, their claim gets denied, and then even their entire policy gets canceled because of the nature of the claim. There are a lot of insurance providers that just won't work with pet sitters and dog walkers at all because our claims tend to be so weird and the liability is just so high with what we do. Something else to look for when you're choosing insurance, if you have employees or plan on having employees in the future, is bonding. Now, bonding protects your business in the event of theft or fraud, the accusations of theft or fraud, that is. So, this means that if a client were to return home from a vacation where your team has been pet sitting and they accuse one of your team members of, let's say, stealing their jewelry or something like that, the bonding would come in and they would help replace the client's lost or stolen objects. While we're on the subject of bonding and employees, I do quickly want to mention here that there is a difference between workers' compensation and the general liability insurance. Having the liability insurance does not negate you from needing workers' comp, and having workers' comp does not void the need for the liability insurance. And same thing with bonding. I mean, they're all three different things, different types of insurance, and you're going to need all three of these types of insurances if you have a team. Something else you really want to pay attention to when you're talking to insurance providers is their customer service and their claims process. Because when the day eventually comes when you have to submit a claim, you are most likely going to be under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, and time is most likely going to be of the essence. So you want to make sure that you are working with a company that is not going to make it super difficult to file the claim, and you want to make sure that you're dealing with a company that you're able to get on the phone pretty quickly and easily. Not a company that is going to put you on hold for an hour and transfer you there, transfer you here, and all of that stuff. You really want to make sure that you are set up for success with this. So before you sign up with someone, do a little bit of research on their customer service and their claims process, and even pick up the phone and just try calling them and see how long it takes to get a customer representative on the line. There are several insurance providers that will work with us pet sitters and dog walkers, and two of the biggest, most common names that you will hear here in the US are Business Insurers of the Carolinas, sometimes referred to as BIC, and Pet Care Associates. If you're outside of the US, I won't be much help to you. You're going to need to do some of your own research. And there are some links at the bottom of the blog post, Time to Pet's blog post on insurance, with some resources for you guys that are outside of the US. Some of the other big names that you will hear frequently are Pet Care Insurance, sometimes referred to as PCI, and Kennel Pro. It is important to note that all of these different companies have different limitations on what they will and will not cover. So you're really going to need to do your research and make sure that whichever provider you're going with will cover all of the services that you are offering. Now, on that note, I will just quickly say that I'm not endorsing anyone, but I have been with Business Insurers of the Carolinas for about 10 years now for my pet sitting and dog walking services. However, they would not cover my long distance pet transportation services, so I had to get a separate insurance policy from a different provider specifically for that one service. So just make sure you do plenty of research before you sign up. That leads us to the next question that I know is on everyone's mind, which is how much is this going to cost? And this is honestly kind of a difficult question to answer because it varies so much. It varies from state to state, it varies from provider to provider, and it varies from business to business, depending on what kind of services you're offering, how large your business is, and how much revenue you're doing, and so many other things. But that being said, if you're in the US and working with one of the major providers that we talked about in today's video, and you are a solo pet sitter, you don't have a team yet, you can usually get set up with a insurance policy starting at around $300 per year, which is nothing compared to how much a medical bill may be, or a vet bill, or a new couch, or something like that. And another quick note while we're talking about the cost is that most insurance providers will require you to pay for the full year upfront at once. However, there are some providers that will let you pay monthly or quarterly. So that's just something else that you're going to have to do your research on. For direct links to some of the insurance providers that we talked about in today's video, head over to the Time to Pet blog post on insurance, and there are links to these businesses as well as some other resources there for you. And while you're there on the Time to Pet website, scroll through their other blog posts and head over to the Time to Pet Academy. Like I said at the beginning of the video, these are awesome free resources that are there to help you succeed with your pet business. So why not just go ahead and take advantage of these free resources? While you're there, remember that you can get 50% off of your first 4 months of Time to Pet by going to timetopet.com/Doug. Again, that is 50% off of your first 4 months by going to timetopet.com/Doug. And if you guys ever have any questions about the Time to Pet platform and you want to talk to me directly, feel free to email me at doug@badtothebonepetcare.com. Be a little patient with my response times, but I will get back to you as soon as I can, and I'm happy to help you guys with any questions that you have about Time to Pet. On that note, I'm Doug the Dog Guy, reminding you to stay positive.